In this video, we're going to look at the accounting equation. The accounting equation is the cornerstone of everything that we do in accounting. So the basic accounting equation says assets equals liabilities plus stockholders' equity. And as I mentioned, everything we do in accounting will relate to this accounting equation. Before we move further, I want to show you something about the accounting equation. The left side of the accounting equation shows the assets. The right side of the accounting equation, let me grab a pen here quickly, shows who has a claim to those assets. So this is called the side that shows the claims. A quick example is if a company has $1,000 worth of assets, we know that the accounting equation says assets equals liabilities plus stockholders' equity. If the company has no debts, liabilities are equal to 0, and for the accounting equation to hold true, stockholders' equity has to be $1,000. What does this mean? This means the company has $1,000 of assets, and that entire $1,000 of assets are owned by the owners of the company. Stockholders' equity represents ownership of the company. Let's look at another example. Let's assume that a company has $2,000 of assets. They have $500 of liabilities and $1,500 of stockholders' equity. The accounting equation is in balance. 2,000 equals 500 plus 1,500. What does this mean? The company has $2,000 worth of assets. $500 worth of those assets are owned by creditors. So $500 of this 2,000 assets belongs to creditors, and 1,500 of it belongs to the owners. That's a brief explanation of how the accounting equation works. We're going to do some more examples in a little bit in this video, but let's take a look at the accounting equation a little bit more. If this accounting equation is rearranged, it is still the accounting equation. So sometimes they may present an equation to you. If that equation can be rearranged to where you can say assets equals liabilities plus stockholders' equity, it is still considered to be the accounting equation. Let's look at some examples. Here we go. The top line, the first one here, says assets equals liabilities plus stockholders' equity. That is your accounting equation. Now, let's look at this one here. Is this the accounting equation? It is the accounting equation if we can rearrange this equation to say assets equals liabilities plus stockholders' equity. So let's see if we can do that. So this equation has liabilities on the left-hand side. Let's take liabilities to the right-hand side of the equation. To do that, all we're going to do is add liabilities to both sides. That will result in having assets equals liabilities plus stockholders' equity, which is the same as the equation we have here. So yes, this is the accounting equation. Let's look at another one. On the slide, at the very top, you have the correct accounting equation. And my question to you is the second equation that's shown here, is that the accounting equation? Well, let's rearrange it. If we rearrange it to move liabilities to the right-hand side of the equation, we get assets equals stockholders' equity minus liabilities. When you move an item from the left-hand side to the right-hand side, you're basically you'll have to, in this case, you'll have to subtract liabilities from both sides. So you end up with assets equals stockholders' equity minus liabilities. Well, this is not the same as the accounting equation. So the assets plus liabilities equals stockholders' equity is not the accounting equation. The accounting equation is always, always, always in balance at any given point in time. What I mean by that is, let's freeze time at 10 o'clock. At 10 o'clock, if you look at a company, the dollar amount of assets equals the dollar amount of liabilities plus the dollar amount of stockholders' equity. Unfreeze time, and let's look at 11 o'clock. Freeze time, and you look at assets, liabilities, and stockholders' equity. Again, the dollar amounts of assets are going to equal the dollar amount of liabilities plus stockholders' equity. It's just that the dollar amounts of assets, liabilities, and stockholders' equity may have changed between 10 and 11 o'clock. We're going to take a look at an example that'll help you understand what I mean. I'm going to take you to Excel and we'll do the example there. Pause the video and read the question, and then we'll go through it together. It says, on January 1st, 2021, ABC Company had assets of $100,000 and liabilities of $40,000. During the year 2021, ABC Company's assets increased by $50,000 and liabilities decreased by $10,000. And stockholders' equity, there should be a Q in there, increased by $60,000. Required. What is the accounting equation on January 1st, 2021? And then what is the accounting equation on December 31st, 2021? Let's first write out the accounting equation. We know that our accounting equation is assets equals liabilities plus stockholders' equity. They want to know what's the accounting equation on January 1st. So on January 1st, let's see what they have told us. They've told us that the company has assets of $100,000. So I'm going to put $100,000 on the left-hand side of the equation for assets. They also told us that the company had liabilities of $40,000. So let's put $40,000 here. But they didn't tell us anything about equity. But we know that at any given point in time, the accounting equation is always in balance. So for this equation to be in balance, we need to figure out how much is stockholders' equity. With assets and liabilities given, we can easily figure out how much is stockholders' equity. How much should stockholders' equity be so that when you add that to $40,000, it's going to be equal to $100,000. To calculate that, you take your $100,000 assets minus $40,000 liabilities. That will give you stockholders' equity to be equal to $60,000. So your accounting equation on January 1st will be 100,000 equals 40,000 plus 60,000. That takes care of part A. Part B says, what is the accounting equation on December 31st, 2021? So let's look at the information they told us about December 31st. That is the end of the year. It says, during the year, ABC Company's assets increased by $50,000. So between January 1st and end of the year, which is December 31st, they're telling us that assets increased by $50,000. If assets increase by $50,000, at the end of the year, we know that the company's assets should have been $150,000. If they had $100,000, it increased by $50,000. Ending assets would be $150,000. Next, let's look at liabilities. Well, liabilities, they said, decreased by $10,000. If liabilities decrease by $10,000, so I'm actually going to put that decrease in parentheses. In accounting, we use parentheses to show negative numbers. So decrease by $10,000, what would be the ending liabilities? If we had 40 to begin with and it went down by 10, we're going to have 30,000 in liabilities on December 31st here. I forgot to put a 1 here. That's December 31st. Now let's look at equity. What happened to equity? It said stockholders' equity increased by 60,000. We know on January 1st, stockholders' equity was 60,000. If it increased by another 60,000, I'm going to show that 60,000 increase here. The ending stockholders' equity is 60 plus 60, 120,000. Let me put a plus here. So now let's see if that makes sense. Is the accounting equation in balance? Is 150,000 equal to 30,000 plus 120,000? Yes, it is. So here's your ending accounting equation. Before we move on to the rest of the topic, I want to show you something else. Let's look at the change that occurred during the period. So this is the beginning. Let me label that the beginning. This is the end of the period. But here's the change. This is what happened during the period. For the accounting equation to be in balance at any given point in time, the change has to also be in balance. So let's see if that holds true. Is 50,000 equal to negative 10,000 plus 60,000? Yes, it is. So let me write it out here. The change looks like this. Assets of 50,000. There was a change of assets increasing by 50,000. We know that liabilities decreased by 10,000. And we know that equity increased by 60,000. If you look, this change also follows the accounting equation. And that's really important to remember, because when we look at transactions and how to record things, every transaction that we record is going to have to follow this accounting equation. So every change that a company has will always follow the accounting equation. Hopefully that makes sense. It would be great if you could rework this example on your own until you understand how to do this. Let's go back to the PowerPoint. So to summarize, here's your accounting equation. Accounting equation says assets equal liabilities plus stockholders' equity. The accounting equation is always, always, always in balance at any given point in time. And any changes to the accounting equation during a period will always reflect the accounting equation so that the accounting equation will be always in balance. That's it for this video. Please let me know if you have any questions.